anything? Like music-wise?
Just musicals.
Yeah, Christmas music and
Christmas music and the
like
musicals.
90s R&B has been the only thing I've listened to the past 2.5, 3 weeks.
And a lot of Doechii. She's really having her moment.
Is she now?
Yeah, but I don't want it to become, it's like Chappell Roan. Like, remember when I came in here and asked you, have you heard Chappell Roan? And then everybody was talking about Chappell Roan all the time.
Yeah.
I want to keep my favorite artists not all the way blown up.
Why?
Because then it feels like you get like inundated by it, and then it's everywhere. And
It'll be in the commercials and everything.
I don't want it in the commercials.
Yeah, I got you.
But I want it for them because it means they're being successful and recognized for their greatness, and they're awesome.
They're getting money also, but that's not always the
I would
case.
assume, but
That's
when you
not always the
assume,
case.
you make it out of you and me.
Was talking with Devin, speaking of songs that shouldn't be in commercials. Genuine's Pony in the Applebee's one. Like it's
Makes me a little uncomfy.
like I'm supposed, like my hips are going to be grinding whenever that comes on, but like yo, I don't want to grind to an Applebee's commercial. And don't y'all have chicken fried? Like stick to that damn song. That song has your name in it. On a Friday night, and if it just right. In the radio, in that song about Applebee's, like go do that.
Wasn't there an Applebee's song? Applebee's on a Friday night.
Oh,
That's
I'm
not
getting
correct,
them confused.
but
I'm getting them confused. Yeah, it is
There was literally an
Applebee's on a
Applebee's
day
song.
night. Get the Oreo shake and the blah blah.
was that an Applebee's commercial song, or was that a real song?
No, it's a real song. It's a real country
My
song.
brain is broken.
It's a real country song.
You want to know what my first song was on my first drive into work at 2025?
What?
With arms wide open. I kid you not.
Let's go.
It's Creed. It's a Creed year, baby.
This is the year of the Creed.
The year of
and
2025.
3 doors down, right?
If I go crazy, then
Will you still call me Superman?
Do we have new ads yet?
I don't think
I'm
so.
just desperately waiting for the Creed.
You know, sometimes
and if we don't get it,
we don't get those. Sometimes we don't, right? Like we don't have a Cat Williams ad.
Come on.
And we have had stand-up comedian ads in the past. So sometimes you just don't get those.
I'm gonna lose my mind if we don't have the Creed ad.
Maybe we should do it.
What if we just did a mock ad?
Yes. Have them clip it.
Can we stand on the top of the Gossip Motors garage?
Oh, you
with
want like
arms
actual
wide
production ad.
I want a music video.
On top of the Gossip? Let's go to the top of the pyramid.
Okay,
That's the highest point in the city.
Wow, twist my
I'm just making
arm.
that up, but yeah, that's the highest point in the
Wow.
city.
Sign me up.
Get to the top of the pyramid. Do some arms wide open. All I know in
put
that
me in a
song is
good
arms
mood.
wide open.
Me too. And then I go, da 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 da. What's up, everybody? It is Friday, January 3rd, first Friday of 2025. It's going to be a good day. Jessica Benson with you from the Grind City Media Studios in Memphis, Tennessee. CJ Hurt behind the glass. Coming up on today's show, the Memphis Grizzlies back in action tonight, taking on the Sacramento Kings. The college football playoff semifinals are set after Notre Dame upset Georgia. The Memphis Tigers started AAC play with a big win in Paradise. We will catch up on all of the things. Lang Whitaker will join us about 20 minutes in to talk about his poor, sad Georgia Bulldogs. We'll get his take on tonight's Grizzlies action. Jaren Jackson Jr., your Western Conference Defensive Player of the Month. We will do a little Music Friday. I'll give you my reviews on 3 of the hottest shows on Broadway that I got to see over my vacation holiday. And we'll get on into it. You know what we say. Happy New Year, because it is the last day that you can say Happy New Year. Them's the rules. Happy New Year, CJ. Come on.
Get the squad together for this year's Junior Grizzlies 3-on-3 tournament. Presented by 2K at the Built Ford Tough practice facility inside FedEx Forum. On Saturday, January 4th, teams will compete in 3 games before advancing to single elimination play. Overall winners from the 10 and under, 12 and under, and 14 and under divisions will win Grizzlies tickets, including exclusive access to the pregame team shoot-around before the Grizz take on the Pelicans January 24th. Sign up today at hoopitup.com/Grizzlies.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds. GVWR.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, one exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals takes it straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season. Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Sonic Radio. Welcome back to Sonic RNDIO. That spells radio with me, the CIO. This just in, the new Sonic $1.99 menu lets you build a crave-worthy meal for just $1.99 an item. Whether that's a creamy shake, crispy tots, or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger. This just out. Ostriches. They're mean, not very cute, and in my opinion, way too big for a bird. Don't miss the Sonic Fun 99 menu. 5 items, always $1.99. Live free, eat Sonic.
Tax not included. See menu for details.
Grizzlies fans, dunks, dimes, and no-looks are great on TV, but nothing compares to catching them IRL. And that starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight in person. From seeing your favorite Grizzly stars up close to hearing the squeak of the sneakers on the hardwood. Put that jersey collection to use and get tickets at Ticketmaster. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside, Memphis.
Dusty May was at Florida Atlantic last year. Tonight you'll watch him coach at Michigan. So why do I care if a football player decides to leave one place where he's making whatever money to go somewhere where he's making even more? It's what most coaches do every year. So I cannot stand it, and I mean can't stand it when the coaches sit up there and act like these young people are doing something wrong.
The Gary Parrish Show, live on weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Feels great to feel the sunshine. Gotta own the day like it's all mine. Just got paid in his own time. Been working hard, I've been on the grind. I deserve this feeling, having my way. I've been on this feeling. This is my day. The sun's out. Let's have a little fun now. I wanna let it all out. That's what it's all about. Cause I deserve this feeling of having my way. I deserve this feeling. This is my day.
Grind City Media presents The Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt. Live from the Grind City Media Studios on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
What's up, everybody? Happy New Year. Happy 2025. Good to be back. CJ?
What?
You were back yesterday, so I can't be like, welcome back, because you worked a whole day yesterday. But it's good to be reunited,
If you say so.
I guess.
Yeah.
I got off the plane. I was like, ugh. I have to go see CJ tomorrow. But then I looked out. I hopped off my jet at MEM in my puffy vest. And I looked and I saw the Bass Pro Pyramid, which, just like in the song
Which
Party
way
in the
did you
USA,
turn?
you don't
turn
look
to
and
the
see.
left or to the right?
And I looked forward. And I said, somewhere in the distance is the Bass Pro Pyramid. And I was like, oh, home sweet home, baby. It's good to be back. Quiet. There was a hush. As I walked to my car, I was like, what's that sound? Oh, it's nothing. I am not in the streets of New York where there are 1 million trillion alarms and horns and screams every single day. I shouldn't say
Screams?
scream. Well, a lot of stuff happened while we were in New York. Like, someone got stabbed on a subway. Needless to say, my mom took the subway once.
Were you there when the lady got set fire?
No, that was before we left. Remember?
Okay.
And I said we were trying to convince my mom to take the subway
yes,
more.
yes,
But then someone got pushed in front of a subway, and then someone got stabbed. Not stabbed. Someone was running around with a knife on a subway, and she was like, "No, we'll be walking." Guess how many steps we averaged a day?
How many, Jessica?
27,000.
That turn up.
27,000.
Turn up.
My little
Good
legs were
shoes.
gonna fall off.
You ran a damn marathon. Your
Almost
legs are
every day.
fine.
No wonder I was able to do the half marathon.
Your legs are fine.
I was built for this.
Yeah.
I was ready for this. It did feel so nice to sit on the couch yesterday. I watched my first full football game and basketball game with the Memphis Tigers getting their big win over FAU, and then watching the final college football quarterfinal game. And to watch a whole game, I was a little out of practice because I had been watching games like this as we traversed the city. Chris Luther, my dear husband, he didn't miss a moment of red zone Not one. He's walking those 27,000 steps. He had his phone up the whole time like this. He's trying to secure 4 fantasy football championships. Shout out to my husband and the money that comes with 4 fantasy football championships. And I only quickly bring up fantasy football championships because I won 1 and I did what I promised. I did what I promised on this here very show, and that is I won a fantasy football championship with Bo Nix as my starting quarterback in my championship game. The end. It was the 92-9 league.
After swearing you weren't going to draft Bo Nix.
No, I had
After
already
swearing,
drafted Bo Nix, but I
we were
lost
like,
in that
Bo
league.
Nix, and you're like, no, we don't want to draft Bo Nix. I'm not drafting Bo Nix.
No, you're misremembering history. I had already drafted Bo Nix in my 2 quarterback league, and then in this one I just picked him up and played him because I was like, I told the people I would do it. It felt like an important moment to be had. We were watching the Broncos-Bengals overtime game as we sat in the theater waiting for Sunset Boulevard at the St. James Theater, Nicole Scherzinger of the Pussycat Dolls to start her wonderful performance, and I'm watching Bo Nix, and I'm like, why aren't you doing anything in overtime? I need every single last point. Tried to watch the Grizzlies, was more like following along with the Grizzlies. I was so worried about missing that Grizzlies-Thunder game. Like, I had pre-FOMO of missing that game while on vacation because it was 1 versus 2 and all the excitement, and then kind of the air gets sucked out of it with the injuries and Ja not playing, and the game ends up being a bit of a dud. But the game that I was sad to have missed was the New Year's Eve game between the Grizzlies and the Suns, and I tried to pull it up multiple times at the New Year's Eve party I was at. The kind hosts of the New Year's Eve party we were at was like, can we try to get it on the TV for you? I was like, no, you don't understand how this works. We can't just flip it up on your YouTube TV in this moment. But it was fun to see, despite all the injuries, you hand the Suns their worst loss of the year. Jaren Jackson Jr. seemed to score on every single person. Desmond Bain was great. John Conchar had a moment on New Year's Eve. Luke Kennard was awesome as well. And the Grizzlies get the win. So they're back in action tonight. We'll talk to Lang Whitaker about that in the next segment. We will, of course, also be talking to him about his Georgia Bulldogs because they're saying on the streets this morning, CJ, it's over for the SEC. The dominance of the SEC, it just means more. I think it just means more parity these days. We don't have to do this.
Yes, we do.
We don't have to do this.
Have to do what?
Say that the SEC
Sucks.
is over.
It's pitiful.
Say that
It's
they're
done.
pitiful. Do we?
Yeah, because they've got a whole conference of fans. Nobody else has an entire conference of fans. And they've been real poor about their behavior.
You're not wrong.
And everybody in the SEC in this run, this from 2000 till 2025, it starts when Auburn gets left out of the BCS. I think it's Oklahoma and USC in a BCS game, and USC I think beats the hell out of Oklahoma. And it was like, oh, Auburn should have been in. Nobody believes in us. It's real. The South will rise again energy coming from the SEC. No, it is. It is.
Maybe it's baked in their genes.
Oh, it is. It is. And you can't say anything bad about bad teams in the SEC without them saying, oh, we're not bad. We just play in the SEC. This is the toughest conference in America. The SEC is kings. They're kings of hypothetical football scenarios. Well, if you picked Arkansas up out of the SEC and dropped them in blah, blah, blah conference, Arkansas will win the whole damn conference. No, they wouldn't. They'd suck in that conference also. They would. That's just the truth. And
imagine what Northern Illinois would have done to Georgia this year.
Like, come on, man. And that's the SEC logic that they like to use all the time. Like,
yeah, but I like to do the reverse logic now that they lost to Notre Dame and say they would have lost by 50.
Because it's stupid. It's stupid. It's almost like, Jessica, hey, we're done playing these games on neutral fields, so you got to go someplace hard to play. And we know SEC teams, Florida will have seasons, plural, where they don't leave the state of Florida for an out-of-conference game, and they just play in the South. And then they go to a bowl game in Orlando. Georgia will play in a bowl game in
Atlanta,
New Orleans, in Atlanta, right? Like, these neutral site games that the SEC has hung its hats on for years aren't really neutral site games. They don't go north of the Mason-Dixon line for out-of-conference games. They don't travel west of the Mississippi River for out-of-conference games. And they're like, oh, we're the best conference in America because Alabama's beating the hell out of everybody. No, Alabama's good. You bums at Mississippi State and Starkville ain't good. But too often we've allowed the SEC to share in Alabama's success or Georgia's success or LSU's one-off years, right? Auburn gets this one championship and has been trash ever since. Ever since Auburn won with Cam Newton, they've been hot-ass garbage ever since, but we allow them to say, We're Auburn football. We matter. Why? Because they play in the SEC, and SEC fans have routinely tried to rub your nose in the fact that the SEC is the best football playing conference in America, and they're not. They're not. Alabama's great. Alabama was great. Georgia was great for some years. You have one off where Florida will jump up and do something once. Auburn will jump up and do something once. LSU
Texas A&M.
will jump. Texas A&M has done nothing. What has Texas A&M done other than Johnny Manziel? Right? And even the Johnny Manziel team was running around with 3 and 4 losses. What are we talking about here?
Might as well call him Vanderbilt with Diego Pavia.
And then Johnny Manziel and Texas A&M, I do believe they played in the Cotton Bowl, which is not neutral site. Texas A&M in Dallas is not a neutral site game. So, yes, we do got to dance on their graves. Yes, we do got to point out the fact that it's almost like we bring everything above ground. We start making paying players legal. We stop doing the fake neutral site games. And now the playing field is a little bit more level. Like everybody's been paying players, but the SEC was doing it way better than everybody else. And now it's fair now.
And that's what has stood out to me the most. And it's not quarterbacks, it's not wide receivers, it's not skill players, it's the line. You used to watch a game and you were like, man, the SEC is bigger and badder than everyone. And now everyone's big and bad because you can pay the linemen. The linemen no longer just get paid in stakes by whoever their quarterback is. They get paid real live money and they can go play for Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame. I do agree. I had the weirdest experience yesterday rooting for Notre Dame in a football game. That is what the SEC has done to me.
Now my dad is that way. Y'all are both wrong. I was still cheering for Georgia.
I'm not saying it felt good. I'm not saying it felt right. I went to USC. I have been conditioned to hate Notre Dame, to hate. It feels wrong to say hate touchdown Jesus. I don't want to start the year off with a bang.
Jesus.
It feels a little blasphemous.
Jesus.
But to hate touchdown Jesus. Yeah. And yet I found myself adamantly rooting for Notre Dame yesterday. It is a little easier to root for a Notre Dame team coached by Marcus Freeman because I enjoy rooting for Marcus Freeman versus rooting for, Brian Kelly. It feels a little bit better. But I just kept thinking to myself, this is what the SEC has done to me for the reasons you just laid out, along with the annoyance of the conversation of this college football playoff, of an SEC, of a conference that was demanding to have multi-auto bids to the 12-team playoff, was crying about Alabama. Congratulations to your Michigan Wolverines for doing the damn job.
There's no need to congratulate. That's what Michigan football is about. Like, whatever.
But it made it more fun. It was a fun dunk. Even I was around half sports people. They were like, did you see Alabama lost to Michigan? I said, I sure did. I sure did. And yesterday, Georgia loses to Notre Dame. And their only team left, the only team left is Texas, who was in the Big 12 a year ago. That is the only representative of the SEC in the Final Four of this thing. And Texas was the only team to not win its quarterfinal game by double digits of the teams that advanced. It took them overtime to take down Arizona State. Overtime and a very bad non-targeting call.
There were 2 of those.
Targeting, non-targeting call.
There were 2 of those. On the interception that Arizona State got, that set up the drive to, I think, tie the game or get it within 8 points. I can't remember. The guy, the Arizona State defender who leveled the Texas receiver after the interception, that was targeting also. It was 2 missed targeting calls, I think, in that game. But whatever, neither here nor there. We're not talking about that. We don't want to be reasonable people on this show today. We want to talk bad. I want to talk bad about the SEC. I do. I want to talk about
Georgia deciding to go for it, trying to play aggressively at the end of the first half. I fell asleep when it was 3-3, and I woke up right as the first half was trickling down. And Chris was like, how did you do that? This game was slop. And then you somehow woke up just in time to watch everything exciting that happens as they force the fumble, and then Notre Dame scores immediately after, and then starting the second half with the kick return for the touchdown, where Notre Dame suddenly scores 17 points in like 54 seconds of game action. Did you have any problem with Kirby being aggressive and deep in his own territory with, I think they had 37 seconds left?
No.
I didn't either, but they want Mike Bobo on a stick. They want to throw Mike Bobo under the boat and anchor him down into the deep blue sea this morning.
That's just college football, man. When you lose these games, somebody's head's got to roll.
Someone has to take the blame, and it's not going to be Kirby.
And we're not reasonable at all about these sorts of things, right? James Franklin.
Reasonable?
James Franklin is in the college football playoff semifinals. And you ask somebody right now, we'll ask Lang when he comes on, hey, has James Franklin ever won a big game? He'll say no, even though he won 2 games to get to this point. Yeah. Can what's my man's name? Not the Ohio State coach. Why am I
Ryan
blanking?
Day.
Can Ryan Day ever beat Michigan? Maybe, maybe not.
He might win a championship
Ryan
this
Day
year.
might win a championship, but every single time in college football, one of these games happen where it's good on good, and we've got to change the way we think about college football. You can't be trying to fire everybody after losing to a good team.
We
But that's
can't
what
change the
do.
way our brains on
Once we
college football
lose,
are broken and unfixable.
Once somebody loses, it's like, you got to make moves. You got to make major changes. You got to get a
Granted,
good grip.
Georgia's offense all season, it wasn't just about that. However, Georgia's playing with Gunnar Stockton as their quarterback. And they had people convinced, well, you know what? Losing our starting quarterback might not be a bad thing.
We've got Georgia receivers in the studio. Jalen, if you could zoom in on the bricks, because that's what they have for hands. Right? Like, they can't catch the ball. So you're running around with receivers who can't catch the ball.
How could they put them in the All-State Sugar Bowl? With All-State, you're supposed to be in good hands. And there were no good hands out there last night.
Georgia.
No.
Not for Georgia.
Certainly not the All-State CEO making his very moving and touching. And I will say,
that's a Georgia receiver hand right there. Right there. That's a whole receiving core's hand. Just bricks. Bricks for hands. Balls are bouncing. One of those passes, one of the few good passes, the freshman quarterback, is he a freshman?
Gunnar.
I don't know. Yeah, it's one of the good passes Gunnar threw. What a football name, Gunnar. He can ball. Bounced off the receiver. He's wide open. Bounced off his helmet. It's like, how does that happen?
Yeah.
You're a Georgia receiver. You're not running around at middle of nowhere FCS school or community college school. You're in Georgia. You're supposed to catch that.
Speaking of good names, and we'll continue this conversation with Lang, but I don't want the opening segment to close without giving the proper props to the Memphis Tigers for their big bad win over FAU to start AAC play yesterday night. They won in paradise. It's always fun to win, but it's more fun to win in paradise. More fun to win by 28 points in paradise, to score 90 points in paradise. And there's Penny, just chilling on his phone, winning in paradise. Glamour City, FAU, Glamour Institution, FAU. They use a palm tree as the eye. We should use more symbols as eyes. But the reason I said great name, Dane Danger, I don't think we've given him enough credit of having one of the best names in all of college basketball. And Dane Danger being maybe one of the biggest ceiling raisers of this Memphis team. The run that Dane Danger went in the second half of that game, where he scored 16 points in about, it was like 7 minutes of total game action, and he did it with 4 fouls. He was having sky hooks. He was getting to the basket at will. He was awesome last night. To go around with the three-headed monster, as the FAU coach called it, of the guard play of this Tigers team, which we have given so much attention with Haggerty, Hunter, and Rogers. They are great. They continue to be great. But Dane Danger coming off the bench for this group, this was a second big game in a row off the bench. They continue to start Moussa Cisse. He is a hack. And I mean hack in a good way, like total hack. I used the word hack with my mom, and she thought I was talking like in a negative way. You know what I mean? That's a hack, like that's a fraud. And I was like, no. I mean hack in a great way. It's making you better. It's like a secret sauce.
It's a cheat code.
Yeah. If you will. Yeah. But they were really impressive in that game. And when you look at what blowouts can do to the metrics, we've talked excessively about Memphis in AAC play not having a lot of opportunities to further build their resume. However, you beat the breaks off teams well enough, you do move up in the metrics. Both in KenPom, they rose from 36 to 29 after last night's win, and in Bart Torvik, they rose from 46 to 35. So just by beating a team badly, you are able to fiddle with the numbers a little bit in a positive way.
Big into fiddling. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Thank you so much. But it was nice to see for Memphis. And that was, on paper, should be their hardest AAC game of the season. On the road at FAU. I think FAU is the third-ranked AAC team in the KenPom rankings, but being that it was a road matchup, Memphis now continues to lead the country in Quad 1 and Quad 2 wins this season. It is never too early to talk about the quads, certainly not once the calendar turns to 2025. But good win for Penny Hardaway and the Tigers. Dane Danger. Devin posted the Mystical video. It was like, every time I hear Dane Danger, I think of that. And then that sent me back. Do you remember when John Oliver did the Danger bit on Anthony Weiner?
Yes.
Because he called himself Carlos Danger.
Yes.
That's where my brain has gone.
Good times. That show was loaded with talent.
I know. Because that was when Oliver filled in for Stewart.
Yeah.
But then he brought it back on his own show.
Yeah.
Those were the days. He did the
Shout
little
out to
dance with
Anthony
it.
Weiner. I hope he's okay.
Benson. so loud.
No, Corinne Steffens was in that video. Superhead.
Really?
Yeah, she's in the video, I do believe topless.
Oh.
Yeah, Jalen knows.
I won't pull it
Jalen's
up on my
aware.
work computer then. Thank you very much.
No, they got it blurred. You can pull it up.
Okay.
I'll pull it up on over here. They don't know
great.
who's using these.
You do it on yours.
They don't know who's using these.
I'll keep this one safe.
I'm gonna blame Rosa.
We'll take a break. We're going to come back. Lang Whitaker is going to join us. We'll chat with him about his sad night for the Georgia Bulldogs. We'll also talk about the Memphis Grizzlies, who are back in action tonight against the Sacramento Kings. They have 2 more games on this West Coast road trip before they are next home on Monday when they will host the Dallas Mavericks. We'll get into all that with Lang after a quick break.
Can't wait to see what your number one. If that's your number 2.
Number 1 for me.
Come on, man.
I listen to the Bells of Luther Vandross. I love Luther Vandross's Christmas album.
I gotta go back and listen to that one, man. I'm sure I've heard it.
To the Bells and they made me remember. Get all of your HBCU sports and culture news by tuning in to HBCU Huddle with CJ Hurt and Mike Wallace. New episodes drop every Thursday on grindcitymedia.com, YouTube, and Spotify.
Grizz Nation, it's time to send Ja, Jaren, and Dez to the 2025 All-Star Game.
Oh! What did we just see, partner? Take 3! Take 3! Bain for 3. Bingo! This man Bain heating it up. Blocked by Jaren! Most versatile power forward in the game today.
Head to NBA.com/vote, the NBA app, or simply use the QR code on the screen to send your Grizzlies to the All-Star Game today.
Our fans have a huge impact on our ability to play to the level that we're striving for.
Drop off, Durant. Oh! Well, you wanted home crowd involvement.
I love those moments where you see our guys engaging in the fans, and the fans just get pumped up.
They are standing in FedEx Forum.
I would hate to be on the other side with the opposition when FedEx Forum's rolling. That's such an unbelievable relationship that our group has with our fans.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering, to those with a history of raising their performance to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard, bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
I'm not going to let you get away with this.
Yeah, that's fine. I deserve it.
You walked in here on Friday afternoon and said
the smoke.
Every day for the last 2 years, you have said, I am John Buckeye.
I said once the playoff matchups were made, you asked what I thought. I said Ohio State's going to beat them by double digits. I said Ohio State's. I walked it all back and went John Vol. I joined General Nealon's Navy.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
How about them Tigers? Go.
Beat Tulane in a game that nobody called. Nobody thought was going to happen. They were a 2-touchdown underdog, and they got the win.
Number 25 in the AP right now, number 24 in the coaches poll right now. So this is a Tigers football team that's going to end the regular season ranked in both major polls, possibly ranked in the CFP as well, with 10 wins. That's a damn good season.
The Odds Couple, live at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. Are we back? Welcome back, welcome back. It is Friday. It is time to catch up with Lang Whitaker, who is kind enough to join us from his continued vacation. Lang, where can we find you this morning?
I am at the beautiful Grind City Resort and Casino for one more day and coming back to Memphis this weekend. I was watching your first segment. I saw the chat had a lot of haters praying on my downfall, celebrating Georgia's loss. and CJ and Jessica were part of that too. But
1,000%.
Are you going to be like Jalen Ramsey and teach your son to just give the finger for the whole year? Did you see that post?
No.
Jalen Ramsey with his kids. Oh, hold on. I'll read the exact because I don't want to put words in Jalen Ramsey's that he did not intend to say.
I thought my son had to give the finger a long time ago.
He said, "It's all love if you've got love in your heart, but middle finger emoji to the haters all year. We only want positivity around here." And yet it's him and his 3 daughters all laying, I think, on a couch, giving the finger. So positivity is at its best.
I should put some middle fingers in the chat over there.
Yeah.
Where CJ and his dad are celebrating Georgia's loss.
Not just Georgia, Lang. Don't make it. I'm celebrating
this isn't personal.
South Carolina's, Florida's. Who else is in that pitiful ass conference y'all call the SEC? Not Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is carrying the SEC flag. How does that make you feel, Lang?
Missouri.
Vanderbilt.
Make sure Missouri gets in there.
Missouri are carrying the flag for that conference.
What about Ole Miss? No one's talking about Ole Miss putting the smack down.
Oh, I'll talk about Ole Miss. Even Lane Kiffin trying to throw shade at Diego Pavia in his post-game. What bowl were they in yesterday? What bowl were they in?
I don't think he was throwing shade. I think if anything, he was celebrating his garbage QB, Jackson Dart, by saying, "Hey, we're bringing
throwing shade."
Whatever. If he was going to throw shade, he'd probably at the guy on Twitter. You know, Lane Kiffin, like he's not afraid of that stuff.
That's true. That is the most true.
Like he doesn't do like the subtle stuff. Like Lane Kiffin, he is out there with that stuff.
Yes, and congratulations to the Ole Miss Rebels for their very important Tax Slayer Gator Bowl win.
Right.
Somebody I was with was talking about the bowl schedule, and they said, "Oh, the Gator Bowl is on the day after New Year's," and I said, "Please, you can't just call it the Gator Bowl. It is the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl." There are very few sponsors left that have to be attached. When I think about that bowl game, we have the Pop-Tarts Bowl, we have the Duke's Mayo Bowl, and we have the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. Shout out to taxes, because that's the only one that's not food and fun related that I'm into.
I saw someone point out that the Fiesta Bowl has gone downhill since Tostitos stopped being associated. Yeah.
Well, it was PlayStation first, and then Tostitos came in.
2 perfect sponsors. What is it now? VRBO, right?
I don't even know.
I saw the VR. So, 'tis the season of bowl games and CEOs of the companies that sponsor the bowl games to pop up on your TV. And listen, I should have said this. Sorry to do this in your segment, but I should have made it clear before we started talking about yesterday's game that was postponed after the horrific events that happened on New Year's Eve in New Orleans. It did feel strange tuning into a football game yesterday, and the comments from the Allstate guy off the top, I know they have to say something, and I know through the broadcast they had to manage the difficulty of acknowledging just the horrors that occurred and trying to honor people who lost their lives and the families who are in mourning, while then also broadcasting a football game. But man, do we sometimes feel like we live in a dystopian society where it's like this absolutely awful thing happened, but here, our football game is back. Our football game's back, and you got to watch it, and you got to be excited about it.
Sean McDonough said something during the game about, this tragedy that we all just went through, but you wouldn't be able to tell inside here.
Yes, that's what he said. I looked at Chris, I was like, did he just say that?
That's weird. And he shouted out the sideline. I think it was Laura Rutledge. He shouted out the sideline reporter who had done such a great job also doing actual reporting on the news the last 24 hours and stuff. And that felt a little kind of weird too.
Yeah,
but
it was that comment specifically, as someone who used to work in local news and being a sports reporter. And at that point in time, like, that was my career goal and trajectory. There always were comments about how sports reporters are so uniquely equipped to handle everything. Like, a news reporter can't cosplay as a sports reporter, but a sports reporter can do it as a news reporter, because you just never know what's going to happen. I remember when COVID really took off, and obviously sports were at the center point of that after Rudy Gobert blew on all the microphones, and then next thing we know, everything was getting canceled left and right. But just the ability to like quickly pop into news mode as opposed to sports mode was on display. But I did think that comment, in the context of the game at that moment, felt weird. But there's CJ and I were talking about it before the show, and of course, when something horrible happens, and a tragedy and a horrific attack on a city and on American people happens, you want to show that you are resilient and can go on, but it's striking the balance of giving enough time. And I know why they had to move it from the day that it was supposed to be played on because of the continued threat levels, and certainly wanted to make sure that it was as secure and as safe. They said that there might have been no safer place in the entire country than the Mercedes-Benz Superdome yesterday. But it does still, you just feel weird watching it. There's no other way to say it.
I was in New York, when 9/11 happened, and it took 2 weeks before kind of sports started again and things started happening again. And I was actually in New Orleans for the first Hornets game after Katrina. But that was like 6 months or 8 months after Katrina. Like they actually, remember the team moved to Oklahoma City for that season upcoming, and then ended up coming back. It might even been more than 6-8 months, but they came back and played like 3 games in New Orleans toward the end of the season. And that was still like 8-9 months after Katrina. And like I went down for those games, and the city was still like mostly shut down. Like I remember, like I stayed at the W Hotel downtown in New Orleans, and they were like, if you want to eat dinner, you got to get it by like 6 o'clock because everything closes because there's no people here to work at restaurants and things. Like this whole city was kind of evacuated and had yet to kind of get back to where it was. I mean, if any city is, I think, equipped to be resilient like that, New Orleans is. But yeah, it was sort of odd having that game less than 48 hours after that incident.
Make the statement and then call the game. You don't need to mention it every single time we come back from a break. But if you are going to mention it coming back from the break,
don't show the fans.
Don't show the fans. I felt so bad for this little Georgia cheerleader who's just go bulldogging in it. Just, hey, yay. She's smiling. She's cheering. She's like, oh, I got camera time. Her eyes are lit up like this camera's on me for a long time.
Because she doesn't know what they're saying.
She doesn't know at all what they're saying. And what they're saying is, as she's smiling, we just had a car bomb go off and kill all these people and da-da-da-da-da. And she's just smiling. It's like, no, bring it back to the either to the studio or take it to the guys on the call and let them do the talking about it. You can't have those conversations while fans are living through the ups and downs, the joys and the pain of what their college football team is doing on the field, because that just makes it all the more dystopian.
Yeah, but we as a country, we move fast. We move fast. I mean, I remember like when I was a kid growing up in Colorado and Columbine happens and school is out for all schools after to try to figure out like how to adjust. And now there's a school shooting one day and everyone's back in school the next and we don't even remember the name of it 3 days later. Somebody brought up the Nashville car bomb from a few Christmases ago and they were like, and it was never spoken of again.
No, and it won't be.
Yeah.
We'll push on.
I'm sorry your dog's lost, Lang. That's what we do.
You know who got spoken of several times during the game was poor Parker Jones.
I felt bad for Parker Jones. Someone said Parker Jones going to have to learn fall rush. It's time for Parker Jones to join a frat and live his best life.
I was getting text messages like, all right, time for Parker Jones to transfer immediately. Like, I don't know what's going to happen to that guy. I don't think he was going to be playing anytime soon anyway, but to be the guy, I mean, you talk, Jessica, when you're on the warm-up show with me, you do the main character. Like, he became the main character for Georgia last night in a totally accidental way. And I don't know how long his name's going to stick around, but I think we'll remember his name for a while.
Most impactful player of the first half, Parker Jones.
Yeah.
Just a nice little sideline interference moment. He's like, Mom, I'm on TV. No, just kidding. Please don't identify me and never say my name again.
I thought Georgia, I had said on the odds couple yesterday, I think I was like, they got to run the ball. They got to control the offense. They got to control the clock, all that stuff. And I thought they were actually setting up pretty well in that first quarter. Like, it was 0-0. They had the ball on like whatever it was, the 15-yard line. ETN has it, and he fumbles for the first time in his college career.
Yeah.
Loses a fumble.
And that was a weird fumble because he's hit in his chest. Like he just hit it forward. And the ball goes forward all of a sudden. Yeah.
So like that, but if they get something on that drive, 3 points even or 7, then you got the lead and you're kind of playing from ahead, but they don't. Notre Dame gets the ball, comes down, and then gets a field goal. Georgia gets a field goal, and then the play at the end of the first half. I had texted the odds couple guys a couple of weeks ago. I forgot which game that was. Might have been the first Texas game. There was a play late in the half, and they were like, all right, Kirby's got to go for it here. And I was like, no, he never goes for it. Like, that's Kirby. He's more conservative than Fox News. I was like, he never goes for these things. And then when he went for it at the end of the first half yesterday, and immediately the guy gives up the fumble and they score, I was texting some of my Georgia buddies. We're like, well, he's never going for it again now, because that was the one time he finally goes for it and tries to make a play at the end of a half. even though as misguided as that was, like 30-something seconds on the 15-yard line or wherever you are, like not a great idea. Also, like I might as well have been playing left tackle for Georgia yesterday. Like the way that the way the Notre Dame defensive ends were coming around the corner.
Lang, that's strange, right? Like in this run of Georgia Georgia dominance. In this run of SEC dominance that we've seen the SEC have over the course of all these years, not just Georgia and Alabama, it's been the line play has been what's gotten them there, right? They've got all of the big guys, and they're big, and they're athletic, and they're able to block. Georgia outweighed Notre Dame by like 20, 30 pounds on the line, by 50 on the line, and had them by 2 inches in height on the line as well, and they just could not block those dudes.
Well, also, like, you have that big size advantage. You're going to run it down their throat, which they did in the first quarter. Then you go away from that. Like, you know, and you guys were talking about, everybody wants Mike Bobo fired. I don't want him fired, but I do think there's questions you could ask there. Like why, especially you're down 13 in the fourth quarter and you're calling wide receiver screens. Like, throw the ball down the field. But there's a lot of those questions. And CJ, to your question about the size and I just think depth in general across the SEC isn't what it used to be. I think it's, college football is a flatter world now, especially with NIL. And, teams, a guy who might have been a backup somewhere 5 years ago starts somewhere else now and gets a chance to play. I was actually texting last night with a former Georgia football player, and he was saying, do you think we'll ever see a Georgia team again where Todd Gurley's your starting running back and the backups are Nick Chubb and Sony Michel? Right. And I'm like, no, because those guys will go somewhere else now and start, or feel like they should start and go somewhere else and play, and then leave after 1 year and go somewhere else and play somewhere else. I think that depth is just not there at where it was. And if anything, I think Georgia, you might see them kind of reallocate some of the funds next year and try to build up the offensive line, build up the receivers. Like they tried to go through this season with nobody being able to catch the ball, and you saw how that played out. Yeah. So I think that's part of the SEC's downfall the last year or two is that it's not they can't just stack up all the good players.
How were they able to stack up these good players is my question. Like you bring up the NIL leveling the field a little bit. How was the SEC stacking up all the talent? Sure, because nobody was allowed to pay players, so nobody was paying players. Oh. The SEC was absolutely 1,000%, except for the one time they offered Cam Newton like $500,000. Mississippi State did, but Cam said no, I'm not going to Mississippi State for $500,000. I'm just going to Auburn to play for free. Right, so nobody's getting paid in the SEC. How did the NIL? How did they level the field with the NIL? Is my question.
Are there palm trees there
in Auburn?
They have the weird trees in Auburn.
In Starkville? No, Starkville doesn't have palm trees.
In Athens?
No.
In Tuscaloosa?
No.
It must be something else.
It's got to be something else.
It's got to be something. I'm not quite sure. I will say, we'll move on to the Grizzlies, but I did want to make one note because I don't think we've discussed the fact that every team that had a bye lost in the quarterfinals of the first 12-team college football playoff, 0-4. And there will be much discussed on if that affected teams who were all favorites and all playing in neutral site stadiums, and then they all lost.
Boise wasn't favorite. Arizona State wasn't a favorite.
That's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
but it is this is you're not a big baseball fan, Jessica, but this happens in baseball all the time where the team that gets the bye, the wild card teams play, somebody wins, and then they come in and they knock out one of the higher ranked teams. This happened in baseball the last few years. It happened when the Phillies beat the Braves 2 years ago, and the Braves were the best team in the National League. I think I do think if you ask those coaches, they would rather have the week off than play because just getting guys healthy at that point in the season, at least for Georgia, I know that was a huge thing. Right. Just so many guys were out, and I would assume most coaches probably feel that same way. I'd rather have a week off to game plan and all that. Maybe there's some benefit to coming in hot, quote unquote, but I think having that time off is probably way more valuable to these guys.
I agree. I think it's more a seeding issue, and I do feel that if there is one change that will be made coming out of the inaugural 12-team college football playoff, it will be that the top 4 seeds do not have to be guaranteed to go to conference champions. Because as CJ pointed out, the teams that weren't favored in those games, Boise State and Arizona State, would not have had byes in another situation where you're dealing with the top 4 seeds. It would have been Oregon, Georgia, Penn State, and Texas.
Yeah.
All right, Lang, the Memphis Grizzlies, they play tonight. They play the Sacramento Kings. The Kings with a interim coach. So much has happened since we last sat in this little studio. They fired Mike Brown. Even Andrew Yang was tweeting about it. Former one-time presidential candidate Andrew Yang said, what is happening here with the Sacramento Kings? But the last time the Grizzlies played the Kings, it was here at FedEx Forum. They won 115-110. They did not have Zach Edey in that matchup, Lang, and tonight Zach Edey upgraded to questionable on the injury report. A few questionable upgrades where Brandon Clark is questionable, which is good news after many people were going full doomsday on what it meant for Brandon Clark's injury that he's been dealing with. And oh my God, is it connected to his Achilles? It's the other leg. Was he overcompensating? He's questionable tonight, which is good. Edey questionable coming off of the concussion. Jake LaRavia questionable coming off the ankle sprain. And even Yuki Kawamura questionable with the shoulder soreness that he has been dealing with. What excites you about this matchup for the Grizzlies against the Kings, coming off a very, very impressive win on New Year's Eve, where despite being severely undermanned, they beat the Suns?
I wrote about it today in the Grind City Media newsletter. Like, that was one of the most zombie Grizz wins we've had the last couple of years, that Suns game. Because the Suns had their big three. Well, they did at the start of the game, and then Beal got hurt during the game. But, you know, the Suns had their main guys, and the Grizzlies just kind of stuck to the plan and did what they did. You know, that last time when the Kings were in Memphis a couple of weeks ago, you know, they couldn't shoot. And the Grizzlies did such a good job of getting out on the threes and making it tough for them. And I think you kind of saw the blueprint a little bit. I don't know, like, what's going on in Sacramento. Like, somebody around the NBA told me a long time ago, where there's smoke, there's usually fire. And, like, there's keeps being all this stuff about De'Aaron Fox and his contract. And you know, he came out and said there's nothing with him and Mike Brown that caused this. But I don't know. It just seems like it's not a great situation. And I think, like, the Grizzlies might benefit, still banged up, but being able to come in there and play a team that's trying to figure some stuff out and maybe sneak out with another win here.
Kings ain't been right since C-Web in them. Like, they always do these types of things where why is this the decision that you're making right now? I thought that and I feel like basketball people thought they had it figured out maybe like 3 years ago. It's like, okay, they're in a much more stable place. They're not going to do near as many of these head scratchy things. And then lo and behold, boom, just get rid of Mike Brown. That franchise
it's ever since they drafted Nick Stauskas, it's been trouble.
Hey, listen, Nick Stauskas, put some respect on Nick Stauskas' name now. He's on the call for Big Ten games. That throw threw me for a loop when Nick Stauskas.
When the Kings were here, when the Kings were in Memphis a couple weeks ago, I was talking to somebody with them, and they were like, look, Mike Brown's had a tough year because, like, they've had so many injuries this year. And he's like, you know, like they struggled to find lineups. They were playing like an 8-man rotation some of those games the first part of this season. And I just think about, you know, the Grizzlies going through what we've been through with injuries the last few years. And, like, you know, you guys talked about you want to fire everyone, get rid of everyone as soon as something goes wrong. Like, the Kings did that with Mike Brown, who was the coach of the year a year and a half ago. And I don't know that Mike Brown's going to make much of a difference for an organization that's struggled to have continuity and consistency.
Yeah, they came home for a 5-game homestand, and they went 0-5, and they said, this is the end. And within that, there was the press conference where Mike Brown said, like, we have to have 2 feet in the circle, which goes back to what you were saying with De'Aaron Fox and alluding. And I think there was some game where
they blew a big lead at the end of a game.
Right.
There was the game earlier this year where Mike Brown pulled out the laptop, remember, and was like showing the replay.
There was one where DeRozan just threw the ball away at the end in this last stretch. It's a mess. So the Grizzlies get a messy Kings team tonight, and in that first matchup against the Kings, that was the game where Ja got ejected. Like, things got really testy with these two teams, and obviously Ja's still out and week to week with his injury. And I will say, going through the streets of New York and trying to figure out, oh my God, what is the Ja Morant injury situation? And I was like right across the street from the NBA team store on 5th Avenue, which I do have a bone to pick with the NBA team store on 5th Avenue. Why do you have Lauri Markkanen's jersey in your front show-off encasing and not Ja Morant's? Like, what are we doing here? Lauri Markkanen? That's what you're doing?
Maybe they thought people would come to, maybe they thought, you know, people go to the Norwegian countries for the holiday markets.
So they wanted to show off.
Yeah.
I was like, the Jazz is facing me, and I do not know Lauri Markkanen's number off the top of my head. And I say, what Utah Jazz player is possibly being featured in the front window on 5th Avenue? Lauri Markkanen. And John Morant's back in the corner. I was really upset. You should have seen me. I turned out. That store is like 3 levels. My mom and Chris were like, do you want to go to another level? I said, no. I want out of the store right now. I don't want to give the store any more of my sweet time at this little moment. With Zach Edey, though, Lang, and it's been tough for Zach Edey having to deal with the ankle injury, now missing a couple games with concussion protocol, but he has been so awesome when he's on the court and going up against a center, if he does play tonight, in Domantas Sabonis. What can he prove tonight in this matchup?
I thought that Chris Harrington actually posted a clip the other day on Twitter. I don't know if you saw it, where he found some plays the last month or so where you see Zach Edey starting to figure out how to cut to the basket, how to clear out, make a little space, and then at the right minute go. I also think we've seen Zach Edey the last month just be a terror on the boards, being able to get rebounds on the offensive glass, especially. I love how a lot of times he just tries to tip it out. He doesn't even go for the rebound. If he can get his hand on it, he's just going to knock it back out. I think Edey's impact on the boards, and then we really still, he might get a block shot a game, something like that, but he's not really making the impact defensively I think that he'll be able to make once he kind of gets that stuff figured out. But offensively already, he's been huge for this Grizzly team. Sabonis always goes off against us, it seems like, and I think if you can just kind of slow him down enough and keep Jaren out of foul trouble, like Zach Edey just gives you that little bit of depth and kind of space that you need to get something going against this Kings team.
Jaren Jackson Jr. was named the Western Conference Defensive Player of the Month. So sorry to Victor Wembanyama, who many assumed would get that honor in the past month. However, Jaren Jackson Jr., the only player in the NBA to have more than 20 blocks and 20 steals in the month of December. He also is averaging 22 points a game. And thus, I was a little surprised, Lang, when I saw the first fan voting of All-Star voting come out yesterday. And Jaren Jackson Jr. was in 10th in the Western Conference front court voting. It went Nikola Jokic, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Victor Wembanyama, Alperen Şengün, Jalen Williams, Andrew Wiggins, Domantas Sabonis, and Jaren Jackson Jr. What is it going to take for Jaren Jackson Jr. to get the national respect that we here in Memphis would say he obviously, deserves based on how he's been playing for this team this season?
The problem is for Jaren is that he's playing on the team with the guy who has 3 of the top 10 plays of the year on the NBA.com social thing they did with Ja. So Ja gets most of those headlines. And if you watch SportsCenter or one of those things, a lot of times they'll say, "Hey, here's the Grizzlies highlights. Oh, look, Ja Morant 360 layup, Desmond Bane hits a 3, and the Grizzlies win." You might get 2 plays on those things. You don't see a lot of that stuff, and a lot of what Jaren's done this year, I think, isn't necessarily highlight worthy, but when you watch him go one-on-one and get to the rim and make a lay-in, make a little hook shot, make a little floater, hit a 3 in transition, those aren't the kind of plays that I go viral, for lack of a better term, but I think he's been so effective and so consistent that coaches are definitely going to put him in because they know the impact he has on these games.
Can we get
on winning?
Can we get Yuki to grab some of his people? Get Yuki support and then is there a J-pop group that we can rock with?
For both Ja and Jaren.
Oh, well, for Jaren, absolutely.
And Desmond Bane. Do the full 3.
No, for Jaren, absolutely. Get one of them involved. Because I'm assuming Wiggins is still riding the wave of the K-popers.
He needs the Wiggins bump. Yeah. He needs the Wiggins K-pop bump. We have to figure out how to get all of Japan to vote for Jaren Jackson Jr. so that it's just a no-brainer. I don't know. Obviously, it comes down to the coaches.
Zaza Pachulia used to always get that big bump every year.
Yes.
Zaza would be in the top 6 players in the Western Conference. We got to figure out a way to mobilize the Yuki fan base that we experience it on Twitter.
I know.
We must figure out some way to kind of get them all to vote.
And he and Ja have been buds. So, and Ja is constantly saying, vote Tripp for All-Star, vote Bane for All-Star. They're doing a very good job of promoting the other people voting for the other players. And obviously it would be great. It stinks that this time of year, I know the bigger, more important thing is all NBA. And with this injury for Ja not being able to be eligible, do you think, people are saying because of Luka missing this stretch of games, that this could be the moment where it changes back on how many games a player has to make to be eligible for end of the season awards? Do you foresee that changing?
Not on the fly. Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, if anything, the NBA owners will collectively bargain that the next time that comes around. And we just started the new CBA, so
Right.
I would imagine, if anything,
There's
it
time
happens
before it.
3, 4 years, 5 years from now.
Yeah, it's a bummer. But I would also love to see both John Jaren at All-Star Weekend. And
I
it
would too.
stinks that he's not playing right now. And the guards are just, it's so hard. Like, Steph's probably not going to be an All-Star this year. Or, I don't know. You never know. He made 8 threes last night on a bum thumb finger. He's dealing with something. Just goes 8 of 8 from 3. Whatever. Lang, enjoy the rest of your time at the Grind City Media. What do we call it?
Resort and casino.
Resort and casino. Can we put
I'm gonna
beach
go-
in it?
I'm going to go. I don't go to the beach. My family does. I just sit in the room and watch the SEC network all day long.
That's the most disgusting thing I've ever heard.
Are they okay on the SEC network? I need to check in
Listen,
on them
Lang,
over there.
if I can watch Red Zone, courtesy Chris just holding the phone up on the streets of New York, if we can walk down Fifth Avenue, crowded as all get out, everybody's looking at the new Louis Vuitton exhibit, the little Swarovski stars hanging from the sky, and we're still able to watch Red Zone, you can take SEC Network to the beach. I believe in you.
But you got to watch commercials now on Red Zone. We don't have that on the.
Oh, they don't have that on SEC Network?
Just pure SEC greatness all day.
Is the commercial
All day.
just the SEC chant, and then it
Yes.
says, it just
There's no
needs more?
commercials. It's just more SEC.
SEC greatness, like that 3-2 game Mississippi State and Auburn played that one time. It was a defensive battle.
It's a
Never
nightmare.
seen defense that good.
It's a
You don't see
nightmare.
defense like that in the ACC. You don't see that in the Pac-12 or whatever it is.
That was unnecessary. We'll try again next week, Lang. Or I'll see you Monday for the warm-up when the Grizzlies are back home. Enjoy the rest of your trip.
See ya.
God, a Pac-12 slam on my first day back at work in 2025. I thought this was over. They killed the conference. Can't keep killing me. You wanna know what I found?
What did you
My little Pac-12 Forever bracelet.
Pac-12
It's like buried in my
forever?
jewelry. Yeah, I made it at the national championship game. They had a friendship bracelet making station because, Taylor Swift. And
you made a
I made a
Pac-12
Pac-12 Forever bracelet.
You knew it was breaking up, though.
Yeah,
correct?
I know, but
Okay.
it felt like a relic that I wanted to hold on to, and now I have it and I don't.
And I mean, Pac-12 didn't have a great showing. Arizona State went out there and played hard, and Oregon didn't.
I do think you're onto something. I think we need to start doing the all-star tweets, both in English and in Japanese.
Yes. Yes, and hold on, wait. Let me get these groups for you. And we need to AKB48, Scandal, Perfume, Baby Metal, One OK Rock. Who's another one of these J-poppers? Yui? Kyle, this is a name right here.
Okay.
Kaori, Pamu?
Okay.
Like, we need to at these people, get them involved. Bring them here for a halftime performance.
I
Let's go.
actually meant to bring this up. Real quick. Okay, wait. I'll tell a story on the other side.
Okay.
Because I know we have to take a
We
break.
gotta take a
I know we
break.
got to
The
take a
music is
break.
playing.
So on the other side, I will tell you a very funny, being around non-basketball fans, Memphis Grizzlies related story. Plus, we will do our RAGGOWs. I didn't think we were doing RAGGOWs today. But then CJ sent them, and I was like, fine.
When do we stop doing them?
Never. The RAGGOWs live within forever and always. We'll do some Music Friday as well. We'll get all into it when we come back.
Grizz Nation, it's time to send Ja, Jaren, and Dez to the 2025 All-Star Game.
Oh! What did we just see, partner? Take three! Take three! Bain for three. Bingo! This man Bain heating it up. Blocked by Jaren!
Most versatile power forward in the game today.
Head to NBA.com/vote, the NBA app, or simply use the QR code on the screen to send your Grizzlies to the All-Star Game today.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, one exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season. Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
Ring in the new year at Southland Casino Hotel to win your share of over $100,000 in free play, cash, or a 2025 Lexus. On New Year's Eve, we're turning up the energy with incredible entertainment. Dance the night away to the beats of DJ Epic, Jerome Chisholm and the M-Town Band, and an electrifying performance from Troy Laz. There's only one place to win when the clock strikes midnight, Southland Casino Hotel.
Must be 21 plus. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700. Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing compares to catching your Grizzlies IRL. And that all starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight. Put that jersey collection to use for the next game and get Grizzlies tickets at Ticketmaster. Whether they're here at FedEx Forum or on the road, Ticketmaster's got your back when it comes to scoring tickets. And there's no better brag than saying you saw it live.
Dusty May was at Florida Atlantic last year. Tonight you'll watch him coach at Michigan. So why do I care if a football player decides to leave one place where he's making whatever money to go somewhere where he's making even more? It's what most coaches do every year. So I cannot stand it, and I mean can't stand it when the coaches sit up there and act like these young people are doing something wrong.
The Gary Parrish Show, live on weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
ESPN put out a list. Top 30 best pro wrestlers under 30 in the world today. Number 1, Dirty Dom. Number 2, MJF.
I think Dom is deserving to be number 1. I think he is probably, like I said, one of the greatest heels in the last 10, 15 years. Like you said, he can't talk on a microphone.
The fans love it because they feel like they're a part of the show.
And that's the best.
Without their booze, he's not the best heel.
Tune in to Grind City Wrestling weekly on the Grind City Media app and on the Grind City Media YouTube channel. Let the beat drop, Jalen.
Here comes. Here comes.
Stop breaking stuff. You think the people would be annoyed if that was a commercial?
Broadway land. Oh, for sure.
We're going to make it the commercial.
I hope everyone's annoyed in 2025 at commercials, but not really. So I always get a pulse on how the Grizzlies are doing outside of the Memphis area based on how my friends interact about the Memphis Grizzlies, because my friends are not sports fans. They follow the Grizzlies as it pertains to how it controls a life. Like, there's a couple bachelorette parties sprinkled around in the spring distance that I have had to be very clear, hey, the Grizzlies more than likely will be making a playoff run, perhaps a deep playoff run.
How the hell do you still have bachelorette parties to go to?
So many. I have 4 weddings this year.
How?
I have 4 weddings, and I'm in 3 of them.
Respectfully.
Wait, no, I'm in 4 of them. What am I talking about?
Super respectfully, right?
Yeah.
Why the hell hadn't these broads got married before now?
Because my group of friends have been similar to me, and that we've all just been living our best career lives. We're career
You can have a career and have a husband or a wife if you want to.
It's a little difficult. We've taken our time.
As somebody who's married to a woman with a career,
we've taken our time.
Oh, okay, all right.
We just, okay. I do think it's a different.
How many more could you have after this year, though? If you got 4 this year, how many more, like, weddings? 3 more that you're like in at some point.
That I would be in, yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
All right.
Unless I make new friends.
Shout out to Jessica's friends. Keep inviting her to weddings.
Keep on keeping on. Anyway, the point being is everybody I ran into, because my favorite thing about going to New York, a lot of my friends live in New York, so it's just like reunion. And every single time, unprompted, my friend would be like, man, my boyfriend, husband, fiance, he tells me the Grizzlies are just awesome this year. I'm like, yeah, they are. He's like, he told me you're going to be working until June. And I was like, well, fingers crossed. I did have a colonoscopy prophecy that said the Grizzlies were going to win it all this year, but we cannot be so sure. But the funniest of all of the comments that were made about the Grizzlies, and everybody knows Ja Morant's name. And again, that speaks to the all-star voting, and not enough people know Jaren Jackson Jr. I feel like I need to start preaching the sweet gospel of Jaren Jackson Jr. because he is not as familiar of a name with the casual or non-sports basketball fan in my life. But we were at a New Year's Eve party, and it was a fun group. There was someone from Germany there, someone from San Francisco, and then a couple of guys from Bolivia. And one of the guys from Bolivia was talking to me, and he was so excited. He said, "You work in the NBA? That must be the coolest job in the world." And then I was like, "Yeah, I work for the Memphis Grizzlies." And he said, "The Memphis Grizzlies? Is that the team that has Yuki Kawamura on it?" And I was like, damn straight, that's the team that has Yuki Kawamura on it. He goes, "That's so fun. My friend was at the game in Washington, D.C., and he was telling me that all these people started chanting for this Yuki guy and he knew basketball. Who's on a two-way contract and doesn't usually play, but plays at the end of games sometimes." He goes, "That must be the coolest feeling in the world, having everybody chant, begging for a coach to put you in." And I was like, I did not expect on the final night of 2024, in the final hour of 2024, I would be talking to a man from Bolivia who knew who Yuki Kawamura was. So that was a very fun experience in the end of my year endeavors. Did you do anything fun for New Year's Eve?
Oh, hell yeah, I did.
Did you do nothing?
I ate a chili cheese coney from Sonic. And did you know Sonic has like a secret drink menu?
No.
They have a secret drink menu that I stumbled across while I was doing nothing, laying in bed, scrolling through Reddit. Yeah, so I discovered it discovered me. It's been in existence for a while now. I stumbled across it. It's like, oh, I got to go to Sonic. Got me a Hulk. That's a good drink.
Hulk?
A Hulk, yeah.
Is this like the old Jamba Juice secret menu?
I'm unaware of Jamba Juice.
Oh.
I'm not
You
sure
could
my
get a
people drink Jamba
Starburst.
Juice.
You could get a sour gummy bear, but they weren't on the menu.
Oh,
those were the only two that I dabbled in.
Yeah, so I guess it's exact. These
I
restaurants.
love a secret menu.
These restaurants have secret menus. You just have to know how to order it. And Reddit gave me the rundown on what I needed to do to order this drink. And so yeah, it was good. It was good stuff.
Okay. With the ice, of course.
Obviously with the ice. Yes.
Did you watch any of the New Year's shows? Are you a New Year's Eve show guy? I forget.
When I got the alert from my family that shenanigans were popping off on the CNN show.
Anderson and Andy.
They don't let them drink anymore, but we are 1,000% certain that they were both high out of their minds.
I would agree.
And so, yes, I would flip back and forth between that. Last year, like I was out, they didn't let them drink, and it's crazy to me that you'll send Anderson Cooper to the middle of death itself and have him knock on death's door, and then say, "Get the news scoop." And then say, "Hey, New Year's Eve, stop drinking. We can't have that." This makes it like, come on, man. All he does. Anderson, rescuers aren't able to get to some of these places. I keep thinking about Hurricane Katrina. Rescuers couldn't get to some of these places. And here Anderson Cooper is, chest level full of water, just reporting on what's going on. Let that man drink on New Year's Eve.
And he's a Vanderbilt. Like, doesn't he have the money to pay someone off to drink?
Wait, I'm unaware
You
of
didn't know this?
No.
I don't know these Gloria people. Vanderbilt.
I only know Vanderbilt because of the university.
Oh, like the Vanderbilt family, like one of the wealthiest families in American history.
Like the Fords and the other families.
Yes, like one of the big, came about during the Gilded Age period.
Oh, turn up.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that.
I don't think his mom, I think it's his grandma's Gloria Vanderbilt. Anyway, so not only that, but he's part of one of the wealthiest families in the entire country. I only turned Anderson and Andy on because my friend lives in a really cool building that has a rooftop that you can go up to. And she's at like in the 20s and 6th Avenue, which is adjacent to 7th, which would lead you up to Times Square. So that's like around maybe like 40 to 45th. So we're about 15 blocks down, but on the street where they would be. And we wanted to go up to the roof and see if we could see. We're so dumb. We're in New York City. There's skyscrapers everywhere. Like the buildings are so tall. All I see is a giant H&M sign in front of me. But so we wanted to have the ball on and then hear the response because we figured we could hear everybody in Times Square. And then we realized that the broadcast is on like a 15-second delay from the actual. I just assumed because it's a clock, because we're counting down together, that it would have been at the same time and that we all could have struck New Year's together and we could have seen the ball on our little screen and imagined it in the distance.
I'm surprised it was only a 15-second delay because, again, Like, I'm pretty sure those people were high. And you never know what's going to be said.
That's true. So there you go. It was it was
yeah.
brief.
Yeah.
But we heard like smatterings, and Chris goes, I think it just happened. And we're meanwhile in like the middle of, we're like, 10, 9. It's like, ah. And there were no fireworks this year because of a drought. I didn't know New York was going through a drought.
Yeah.
New York and New Jersey. The only fireworks that could happen were the ones on Staten Island where the Statue of Liberty is, and they were small.
Okay.
So usually you would have like fireworks everywhere.
Is New York going to get any of this winter stuff?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask, when are we going to get the drone shows that the other cool developed countries have?
Oh, no.
What are we doing?
We're never going to get those.
Why? They're so cool.
Same reason we can't
Don't we already have drone shows in New Jersey anyway?
Well, yes. But that's not
on.
us. That's
Use
not
them for
us.
good.
That's not us with the drones. So that's somebody else with the drones. And it's for the same reason we can't seem to wrap our minds around, hey, sometimes good college football teams lose and you don't need to get rid of everybody on staff. It's a mentality thing. My daddy grew up popping fireworks. His daddy before him popped fireworks. His daddy before him popped fireworks. Damn, we're a firework popping country.
I don't want to be a firework popping country. I want a cool drone that looks like a tiger.
What's the lyric in the national anthem?
Baby, you're a firework?
No, in the national.
That's our national anthem. That's Katy Perry's Firework.
Baby, you're a firework,
Come
not
on,
a drone. The bomb's
colors
bursting.
Work.
Colors burst?
Burst would make more sense.
Yeah.
Make them go up, up, up.
I think it's
as they shoot across the sky.
Sky. Yeah. I don't think it's up.
We're working.
Come on, man.
Before stay back. Come
on. It's bombs bursting in air, not drones bursting in air. Hey.
In today's day and age.
Well, good point.
Connectivity.
Good point.
Things evolve.
Good point. The drones are dropping things. Yeah. Maybe we get drones dropping fireworks.
I saw some cool drone show footage, and I just
Rockets
thought to myself,
red glare. Thank you, Dwayne. The Rockets red glare.
Again, drones.
Well,
what are we doing here?
Drones on the rocket.
What are we doing here? All right, let's quickly do our RAGGOWs, our games of the weekend. Yeah, it's like a RAGGOW. It's not a RAGGOW. It's not a full-fledged because it's week 18 in the NFL, and there's not a whole lot of excitement, although I know CJ is excited for some bottom dwellers of the weekend who will be fighting to the death of who will have the best draft positioning. But the first game on both of our lists was the Vikings-Lions game, which is for everything in the NFC. One of the better finales that I can remember of recent note, where we have these two teams playing for the number 1 seed in the NFC.
Yeah, this is a great finale for the NFL, and it looked maybe 2 weeks ago like the NFL wouldn't have any game to hang its hat on come the last week of the season because all the teams in the playoffs will already be known and seeded. But this one right here, this is for the number 1 overall seed for the bye and to get home field. Right?
Yeah.
The loser of this game
drops to 5.
Goes on the road for the rest of the playoffs. That's what happens here. So yeah, that's my number 1 game as well. Two of the best covering teams in the NFL as well.
Yeah.
I think the Vikings are 11-5, and the Lions might be 10-5 and 1. I think
the loser will become the first 13-plus win wildcard team in NFL history.
Mm-hmm.
So congratulations on your season. You have to play on the road through the entirety of the playoffs. My second game in similar nature, but not quite as high of stakes, is the Bengals-Steelers game, which I know is also CJ's second game on his list. Cincinnati has to win in order to keep its playoff hopes alive because Cincinnati plays on Saturday. That would put the pressure on the Broncos and the Dolphins to win on Sunday. But the Bengals have to take care of their own business. They have to win on Saturday first, playing a Steelers team that needs the Ravens to lose to have a chance at the AFC North title. So there's playoff seeding still in play in both instances. The Steelers can clinch at the bare minimum the number 5 seed with a win, and they would knock the Bengals out of the playoffs. So anything with stakes, I love this time of year, and this one has something for both teams.
And you've got somebody who should be high in the MVP voting. It's Lamar's or it's Josh Allen's, but if the Bengals don't fumble around the first month and some change of the season like they always do, we're talking about Joe Burrow and how special of a season that he's having. He's leading the NFL in passing touchdowns. I'm pretty sure he's leading them in yards per game. He might be leading in total touchdowns. Also, Joe Burrow is having a phenomenal year coming back from that wrist injury from last season. I think that we should all be, I'm going to do it when we talk about the best quarterbacks in NFL, the Mahomes, the Allens, the Lamars. Burrow's name should be brought up.
There.
Absolutely. And if it's any other season, with this team playing like this, not any other season, with the Bengals playing like this, if they had a better record, he would absolutely be your MVP. I saw this note, and I want to make sure I get it right. No player has ever won MVP on a team with 8 or more losses, and the last MVP in the NFL on a non-playoff team was in 1973. That's when the juice got loose.
Speaking of the juice getting loose, CJ sent me a song that a family wrote over the holidays.
That is not supposed to be mentioned on air.
Why? I thought it deserved.
I don't want to be playing around with murderers like that on air.
You're right.
But it was a funny song.
It was just a very clever song. You should go find it on social media.
If you want to talk about it, sing about it.
About it.
He's dead now. Not like he's no threat to me. He was killing white women. So like you're good now. He's dead. He's gone.
Well, I was just in the headspace of, remember how I told you that girl who was in my sorority who once upon a time took a picture with OJ Simpson, partied with OJ, and then took a picture with him and posted, I hope I don't get murdered tonight. I was with people talking about that girl, and so she was fresh in the head, and then you sent that video of the OJ Christmas Carol, and I was like, wow, that's a lot. And I forgot that he died this year. It feels like years ago. So all of that came
We didn't
together.
do an in memoriam.
We didn't talk about him in our year in review segment.
No.
Okay, too much OJ for the first day of 2025.
Gone, but not easily forgotten.
But never forgotten.
Unless you're the NFL where you just wipe him completely out.
Yeah, because USC, again, still has his Heisman, so not wiped out there. But the NFL doesn't talk about
He
him.
hadn't killed 2 people yet.
Dude, that was pre and post.
Yeah, I think he was being
okay,
hell
my
out of his
number 3
girlfriend or
game.
wife or whatever.
So I can talk about my musicals.
Oh,
my number 3 game. Chiefs at Broncos. The Broncos have to win. The Chiefs are resting all of their starters because they have already locked up the number 1 seed, and they will get to be well rested. Yay for the rest of us as the Chiefs go into the playoffs. So rested and with the number 1 seed and home field advantage. But for the Denver Broncos, they are the chaos controllers. My Denver Broncos control all of the chaos on the last day of the regular season. All they have to do is win. If they win, they are the number 7 seed. They will be the final team into the 2024-2025 NFL playoffs. If they lose, then that's how you open up the door for the situations where the Bengals can get in. If the Dolphins win, they would get in, and then it becomes a little more chaotically fun. But the Broncos are huge favorites in this game since the Chiefs are resting everyone. Denver will be playing everybody, and so perhaps I will have 2 premonitions come true. 1, that Bo Nix would lead me to a fantasy football championship, and 2, that Bo Nix would be a part of a Denver Broncos team that makes the playoffs this year.
Yeah, that would be impressive. We've seen mediocre to bad quarterbacks get a Broncos team to a playoff berth. Think about Tim Tebow, and he won a game in the playoffs.
He did.
So, yeah. Titans, Texans.
You're a sicko.
Let's talk about
You're disgusting.
Let's talk about these number 1 pick odds. All right, so the Titans have the 2nd worst strength of schedule in the NFL. There are 3 teams that are 3-13, and there's 1 team that is like 2-14, or maybe that's 3-13 as well. I'm not sure. It's the Giants, it's the Titans, it's the Browns, and it is the Patriots. All right. So Titans would need to lose this game and then get a loss by the Patriots, and then they would be sitting there with the number 1 overall pick. We talked to Teresa Walker yesterday about the last time the Titans had the number 1 overall pick and how they traded it, got a plethora of actual NFL talent to fill a bunch of different holes. Maybe they do that again this year. Maybe they go out there and draft one of these quarterbacks, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, or somebody who's going to emerge, because it's always one of these goofballs that just emerges after we've seen film on them all season. Like, no. He went out there and threw with his helmet on at his pro day. That's a guy I want on my team, right? So who knows what they could do? But it all starts with them
Who do we think is the most likely quarterback to have that
throw with the helmet on?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. I think Shedeur is too cool. So
Shedeur and Cam are too guaranteed.
Too cool and too guaranteed. Who else is there?
It's going to be Curtis Rourke from Indiana.
Oh.
The Maple Missile.
What's the dude's name for Notre Dame?
How about Kyle McCord?
Yeah.
Syracuse.
Yeah.
From Ohio State, yeah.
He's going to do...
Kyle McCord's that guy. And suddenly we're going to be sitting here like, Should Kyle McCord be higher on
I'm just
GM's draft
saying.
boards?
I would draft Kyle McCord over Shador.
Oh no.
I would do it.
6'3", 220.
He looks like a quarterback.
He just looks like a quarterback.
He looks like a quarterback.
And you know Shador.
He does not look like a quarterback. Way too
Oh,
dark
I already
skin.
hate it. I already hate it so much.
Paxton Lynch looked like a quarterback. Andrew Luck looked like a quarterback.
It's Drew Lock. You just
Drew Lock.
you just
I
combined
mixed
Andrew Luck.
Drew Lock. But
Wait,
is he just a Drew? Is it not Andrew?
I think he's just a Drew.
We don't make just Drews,
Yes, we
do.
do.
I thought Drew was always short for Andrew.
Oh, here's a plot twist.
Okay.
He's a Paul. His name is Paul Andrew Locke.
Okay, so I was
and he
right.
goes by Drew. No, because he's
right.
not an Andrew.
He's
a middle Andrew.
He's an Andrew.
And he's chosen to be
Jessica,
by
will
Drew.
you stop? I want to get to your Broadway stuff. Give me the next game.
I can't believe his name is Paul.
What? He doesn't look like a
He does
Paul
not
Andrew
look like a
to
Paul. Have we ever had a Paul? Before I say this, am I not thinking of something off the top of my head? Like a Paul starting quarterback? That's just not a starting quarterback name.
That's a good point.
Right?
I can't think of any
I can't think of any Paul.
I'll-
Disciple? Sure.
You'll give me your next game, and I'll look up greatest Paul
No,
quarterbacks.
we don't have to do that because my next game is just interesting from a standpoint. It's the first game of the Week 18 slate. It's Ravens-Browns, and if the Ravens beat the Browns, they lock up the AFC North. And they get the 3 seed in the playoffs. If they were to lose, that gives the Steelers an opportunity to win the division and would drop the Ravens to a 5 seed and have to play on the road. And I'm really excited for this postseason run for the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, and would love to see them in that 3 seed positioning to make it as not easy, but as advantageous of a road as possible to see them get as deep as they possibly can. Yes, CJ, any Pauls coming up? No Pauls.
Paul Thompson.
Big 12 champion quarterback for Oklahoma, but he lost his starting job in the season opener, but then returned to lead them to a Big 12 championship.
Okay, all right. You started that, and I was like, holy shit, how does she know about Paul
It already
Thompson?
popped up. I'm a big Paul Thompson fan.
I thought you were.
I love Paul Thompson.
All right, my
Or how
last-
about Paul Justin, a 2 first-namer? Former NFL quarterback who played for the Colts, Bengals, and Rams. He also played for the Arizona Rattlers and the Frankfurt Galaxy.
Didn't know Frankfurt had a team.
Not a lot of Pauls.
Okay, all right. Last game for me is the Patriots-Bills game. Patriots have the worst strength of schedule, so they're in the driver's seat of this thing. All they got to do is lose, and they get the number 1 overall pick. And even if they win, if they get wins from the Giants, the Browns, and the Titans, even with a win, the Patriots get the number 1 overall pick. The Browns need a loss, and the Patriots and Titans to win to get the number 1 overall pick. And the Giants are sitting there with like a 2% chance at the number 1 overall pick. If they get a loss and wins by the Patriots, Titans, and Browns, they'll get the number 1 overall pick. So, yeah, that's why that game is important to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congrats. You're sick. You're
Oh.
sick.
Well.
All right, what are we doing? We're blending everything into one final
Yeah,
segment.
go to Broadway.
I saw 3 shows in 3 nights. Do you think you could see 3 Broadway musicals in 3 consecutive nights?
No.
I realized how lucky I am to have a husband who agreed to see 3 shows in 3 nights. This is nothing new for him. He's had to do this before. I think we've done 3 shows in 4 nights. I'm pretty sure we've done 3 in 3 nights. I think we did 4 and 5 one. I've done insane things, but this one did feel like quite the stretch to end 2024. And I roped in friends this time around. Our wonderful friend, Kelly, who is here in Memphis with us. Her sister lives in New York, and she convinced her sister and her sister's husband to also sign up for the 3 shows in 3 nights tour. So it was me, my mom, Chris, Kelly, her sister's husband. The 6 of us saw Sunset Boulevard, Death Becomes Her, and the grand finale, Gypsy. And when I tell you, I went into this trip with some of the worst anxiety I have ever experienced, CJ, because I was most excited for Gypsy, starring Audra McDonald, 6-time Tony winner, should probably win her 7th for her portrayal of Mama Rose in Gypsy. It is the kind of show where if there is an understudy, no disrespect to the understudy, you're not going for the understudy. The billboard, the marquee for Gypsy says Audra Gypsy. It might as well be called Audra Gypsy. You go to see Audra McDonald in this show. The whole cast was sick last week.
No.
Rolling cancellations.
No.
So I'm sitting here doing our last show of
The
the year
whole
with John
cast?
Roser, multiple members of the cast. It never became clear, but Audra McDonald posted a picture on Instagram where she had a God, why can't I think of the name of it? Like when you vaporize your nose and your mouth and trying to get yourself better. I used it when I lost my voice. So I'm like, did Audra McDonald lose her voice like I lost my voice when I had the great laryngitis of November 2024? They canceled a show on Christmas Eve, or perhaps it was the day before Christmas Eve. They start canceling every show after that. We get to New York. It looks like they're finally going to go back on the 27th. They don't. They canceled another one. They cancel on the 28th. We have tickets for December 30th. I am out to dinner with friends seeing, oh my God, they just canceled another Gypsy. And I'm thinking to myself, this isn't going to happen. We're not going to be able to see the show. I'm going to be devastated. It's fine. I'm going to enjoy the shows that we do get to see. They came back, and I am so grateful they did, because I saw one of the greatest performances that I will ever be able to say that I saw. And that is Audra McDonald and Gypsy. She is a revelation. Gypsy itself is actually not my favorite show of all time. Some Broadway purists would put it in like their top 3 greatest musicals ever written. That's good. That's fine for them. I go strictly for the leading lady performance. And in this case, it was Audra McDonald. And she was stunning. Like, I started crying before the show even started, but then when she does her big act at the end of Act 2, which is kind of portrayed as a nervous breakdown, it's called Rose's Turn. It's a mix of everything's coming up roses, but it's this mother who is the ultimate stage mom, who is realizing like everything that she gave up, and she's selfish and a narcissist, but you can't help but feel bad for her in some ways. And Audra McDonald just plays it to perfection. Audience on their feet. It's a middle of a show standing ovation, which is a rarity. And I saw 2 middle of show standing ovations, which are such special experiences in the theater. Got it from Audra McDonald, and then also got it from Nicole Scherzinger in Sunset Boulevard. Nicole Scherzinger of Pussycat Dolls fame. That was the first show we saw.
What was it called?
Sunset Boulevard. There's a movie, Sunset Boulevard. It was also a musical first. The way that they creatively have revived this show, I think was probably like my favorite thing of the trip, just from seeing an old show through a new lens. Gypsy doesn't change anything. Like, it's the same script. There was some thought, because Audra McDonald's the first Black woman to ever play Mama Rose, and her daughters were Black in the show, if they would incorporate the race element. It's about the vaudeville circuit and young child performers growing and trying to become famous. Like, how were they going to add race to the storyline? They didn't. They just did it as is, and then you interpreted it however you took it through that. With Sunset Boulevard, like, they very specifically changed the show. There's cameras. There's live cameras during the show, and so they're like projected up on screen, so you're getting these really crazy close-ups on these actors' faces, and it just works. Like, it's funky, and it was so cool. And this is a spoiler. If you plan to go see Sunset Boulevard and you like really don't want to know anything about it going into it, like, I'm giving you the fair warning right here, right now. But I want to describe it because I think it is the coolest thing I've ever seen a Broadway show do. The second act starts with the lead actor, who I am now in love with. His name is Tom. His last name always escapes me. But Tom, he's a hottie. He's like Jeremy Allen White on the great stage. I want more of him in future shows to come.
What is he?
He's like,
but is he?
Fix me.
But is he the? Cause
Tom Francis.
You talk about the guy from the Wicked movie, right? Where there's always
Jonathan Bailey.
that really hot gay guy, but he's
You want to know
gay.
what's so funny? I didn't even think to check his sexuality.
Okay, yeah, because you might be shooting a shot at a rim that's not open, if you catch my drift. He might be playing for the other team.
It appears he might be.
He might be, batting on the left side of the plate.
I don't care.
Okay.
That man is what he does in a wife beater, or he's just in like a simple white t-shirt and then in a white beater and then he's in like a little suit jacket. Anyway, the point being, see, I think even you would think this is awesome.
Okay.
He goes outside with the camera. So they're doing the entire opening number of the second act live, and he's walking through Shubert Alley, which is a crowded alley outside the Broadway theaters. Like, this is an actual alley. You have Hell's Kitchen, the Alicia Keys musical. He's passing through that. He's passing all of the posters, and you have just tourists who are out there like with their phones. And this is a show about celebrity and Hollywood and like an old aging actress. And you have all of these people who are outside the theater watching this moment of the show, but not in the theater watching the show. And then he comes back in and the show continues. The electricity from the audience in that moment was like, all of the hairs on your arms are standing up. And usually that's reserved for like big, flashy, wonderful numbers where like vocals are on full display. But this was just so unbelievably cool. I would love to see more musicals take risks like this because it really pays off. And Jamie Lloyd is the director. He's next doing Evita, which is the whole reason I went to Argentina this year. So I'm very excited to see what he does with Evita. But I do want to say Nicole Scherzinger like belongs on a Broadway stage, flat out. In any other year, this is like me talking about the Heisman again. Just like in any other year, Ashton Genty would have won the Heisman, but he was up against Travis Hunter, who is just, we don't see a lot of Travis Hunters. We don't see a lot of Audra McDonalds in that they are just tour de forces in everything they do and continue every decade to add on to just how great they are and the experience that plays into her success and her ability to control a stage. But in any other year, Nicole Scherzinger would win Best Actress because she deserves it. She just happens to be going up against Audra McDonald. And the number of times I have thought about just one note that Nicole Scherzinger hits and holds for like 30 seconds, and like people were just waiting to get on their feet. They were like, oh, I just want to give this girl a standing ovation and I want to give it to her right now. And it was so good. So, and I don't want to leave out the middle show, Death Becomes Her, which is based on the movie with Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn. And we actually had an understudy for one of the leads.
Hold on. So,
yes.
I'm trying to get my play history right.
Yes.
So Death Becomes Her.
Original and new musical.
Oh, so, say what?
Original new musical based on a movie.
Okay. So it was a movie first, and then we've made it a musical.
Correct.
All right. Gypsy was a play.
Correct. It's actually a book.
Okay.
It was an autobiography.
Gypsy is a book that becomes a play.
Yeah.
And then Sunset Boulevard is
a play that becomes a movie.
A play that, okay, good.
That was well done.
Go ahead.
That was pretty darn good. Death Becomes Her. It stars, well, I wouldn't call her the star, but she's like one of the featured names is Michelle Williams, a Destiny's Child, and she wears some of the most gorgeous dresses. She pops up and you're just like, if I was a young kid going to a show, I would become obsessed with Michelle Williams in one night just because the looks were looking, as the kids say. She's stunned and she has beautiful vocals, but the two leads of that show are two like musical theater powerhouses in Megan Hilty and Jennifer Simard. And Megan Hilty, some people know, she was the second Glenda in Wicked after Kristen Chenoweth. She was on a show called Smash on NBC that was wildly popular. And she was out the night that we went. And like you open a playbill and you get a little white piece of paper that says you have an understudy. And I've really challenged myself to always be really excited about seeing an understudy because you never know when you could see the next great star. And her understudy, Kaylee Cronin, was fantastic. Like if you did not know, if you just had no idea, you would assume that this person was a star on Broadway. And it was very funny, a lot of good one-liners, a lot of good sexual humor. I completely missed a pun in one of the first numbers called For the Gays, and I thought it was literally just like For the Gays because we're at a musical and they're talking about like Judy Garland and Cher and Celine and she's doing it for the gays. But it's spelled G-A-Z-E, so that's on me. It was a pun, like the gays, because you're a... Exactly.
When you said that, I thought that
So
the
you
pun.
thought that
I
one.
thought that it was gays, like looking at, and the pun was the
No,
community.
I just thought it was, hell, we're on Broadway. And Megan Hilty, who would normally be singing that song, she's always doing it for the gays. So all of these, it was a big for the girls, for the gays kind of weekend. And shout out to my very straight heterosexual
who apparently is inspiring men in the chat to become better. Like they've named their children after this man.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yes.
I won't take his last name, but you name your children after them.
In honor of Jessica refusing to take the last name of the man who trudged around New York City in what I'm assuming is the cold.
No, it was beautiful.
Okay.
We got so lucky. It rained our first day.
Okay.
And then it was 55 degrees every day. And then the last day, it dropped to like 30.
But you're out.
Yeah, we're on our way out. Like I had to go run some errands on yesterday morning, and as I ran them, it was freezing, and I was like, oh, thank God we're leaving in 2 hours.
Yeah. But he still trudged around New York, holding the phone so you could watch Red Zone.
No, let's be clear.
No, I'm being clear. Holding the phone so you could watch Red Zone, and then allowing you to drag him to not one, not two, but three shows. God bless that man.
But we also did a lot of shopping, but he did a lot of shopping. He had wins. Like I found this nice little puffy vest that I very
that's
much
not a
like.
rental.
No, this is real. I got a real vest, and I got these real sweats. I got a vest and sweats. Chris got a whole new wardrobe.
Turn up.
He had so many fashion wins. So look, it all works out for everybody in the end. But I'll leave you with a 2025 lesson, because you did mention the weather going into this trip. My husband was really nervous and like really sad because it said it was going to rain every single day we were there, and not just rain, pour. And I said, you never know until you get there. I said, sometimes you just gotta assume the best. Assume that when it says 80% chance of rain, and I know we've gone through the whole rigmarole of, does it mean an 80% chance of rain, or is it 80% of the area is getting rained on? Whatever it may be, there was chances of rain in the forecast. And I just kept saying, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's sunny. Maybe we get lucky. And you want to know what it was? Sunny and lucky for 4 of those days, and it was beautiful, and we didn't have to worry about it. Just as I was worried that Audra McDonald was going to miss Gypsy, and I wasn't going to see it, and it just worked out.
What was the percentage of rain?
80%.
Because it rained in 80% of the city, and 20% of the city was fine. You were in the 20% that was fine.
Yeah, but it was supposed to rain like all day, and some of those places just got little sprinkles of rain.
Mm-hmm.
So it was all
and
good.
80% of the city.
It did rain on New Year's Eve. Those people who sat out in Times Square, they got poured on. They were sopping wet by the time it was the ball dropping on New Year's Eve. But anyway, it's wonderful to be back. I can't believe it's Friday. This feels so weird.
You came back at it right.
I guess I'll see you next week.
We need more one-day work weeks.
I concur.
One-day work weeks. Do you know how functional of an adult I would be if I only had to work one day?
I'm ready to go, clean my whole house.
My house is clean right now because I only had to work 2 days this week. I could clean my house and take care of my body, make appointments and stuff, get things checked out.
That'd be so great.
Oh my gosh.
Did you make a New Year's resolution?
Yeah.
What is it?
What was my New Year's resolution? Jalen,
did you make it on the show?
I did. My third has my New Year's resolution on it. I can't remember what it was for today.
Oh, that's good.
But I've got. Oh, that's right. I'm going to
exhale after every inhale.
Exhale after every inhale.
I think I heard a very expensive yogi once tell me that. Exhale.
You did it wrong. You said exhale on the inhale, right? That's why it's my New Year's resolution, because some people be exhaling when they should be inhaling. Not me. Not this year.
You're breathing right in the new year.
I've got a bunch of them. Yesterday's New Year's resolution, I got like 6 or 7 of them.
Give me one.
Yesterday's was, are you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get slightly older with every passing day.
And I would take it you're gonna appreciate every day you're slightly older.
No, that's way too much.
Oh, okay.
No.
That's a step too far.
Because some of these days be terrible. They be awful days.
Okay.
Like finding out you got rats running around your yard and stuff. Like that's a bad day.
Still got the rats? Have they come into the new year? Okay, we'll end on a positive note. Grizzlies Kings tonight in Sacramento, and then we get another Grizzlies game tomorrow night as they will wrap up this long West Coast road trip. Tonight they play the Kings. Tomorrow they play the Warriors. Last time they played the Warriors, they beat them by 51 points. It was pretty great. And then the Grizzlies will come home next week. We will be back on Monday. It'll be another Grizzlies game day, Grizzlies Mavs here at FedEx Forum, and it'll be great to be back. We will see you all then. I hope you all have a wonderful start to the new year. Since it's the last day, I can say it. Happy New Year. We'll see you Monday. Have a great weekend. Bye.
Is this how we're getting out of here now?
That's so cute. Waving? That's so cute.
But what's up with the thing on my face?
You look like a drone.
Really?
Yeah.
Grizzlies fans know it's the team that gives you the edge. Big River Steel does too. And much like the Grizzlies have recruited legendary talent, we want you to be part of our team. Are you ready to be part of something legendary? Then visit www.bigriversteel.com. That's www.bigriversteel.com.
Our fans have a huge impact on our ability to play to the level that we're striving for.
Drop off, Durant. Oh! Well, you wanted home crowd involvement.
I love those moments where you see our guys engaging in the fans, and the fans just get pumped up.
They are standing in FedEx Forum.
I would hate to be on the other side with the opposition when FedEx Forum's rolling. That's such an unbelievable relationship that our group has with our fans.
There's no substitute for experience, the knowledge gained from having been there before, and the passion to share what you know to make everyone around you better. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy.
Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
Grizz Nation gets set for tip-off 1 hour before every Grizzlies home game with the warm-up show. Get the latest news, notes, and analysis live from courtside at FedEx Forum.
This team is doing everything that Taylor Jenkins and his coaching staff envisioned it could do.
Join me, Lang Whitaker, along with Michael Wallace, Jessica Benson, and other personalities from Grind City Media, Memphis, and around the NBA. 1 hour before every home game, live at Grind City Media on X, YouTube, and the official Grind City Media mobile app.
Somebody who really has done what they were supposed to do, or maybe wasn't expected to do, is Jalen Wells, the Western Conference Rookie of the Month.
What you're seeing right now is him showing that, hey, no matter where I was going to go in the draft, I was going to be ready.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to GrizzBeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.